we are going to look at vendor view notices. Along the top, we're on the notices screen, and that will happen as soon as you log into vendor view. You are directly taken to the current notices screen because we feel that that is the most important screen in vendor view. Notices are created when events occur at the waiver agent site. In other words, as they add new clients, this will trigger a notice and it will appear on your current notices screen. We'll go into a little bit more of that later. Along the top, as far as the layout of the screen, along the top we have the same search criteria as we do throughout most of vendor view. You can search by client ID, the last 4 digits, or you can search by client last name, or from the drop-down list on county. Okay. As a vendor view user, you are going to want to handle and take care of all current notices as soon as you get them. This lets the waiver agency know that you are aware of what they're asking and you can take on the service. Okay, sometimes there'll be service changes, additional services, etc. We'll go into a little bit more of that also. If you are going to use the search criteria, once you've typed in your search criteria, simply click the blue Go button. Display all current notices actually defaults to displaying all of the current notices. This messages, one new message in red text means that you have a message and you'll need to go to the Messages tab. Below that are 3 buttons, one being the Generate Reports button. The next is to review and archive. In other words, review the notice and archive it to the Archive Notices page. And the third button it does everything in one full swoop. Generate reports, it reviews it, and it archives that for you. Okay. The first column in the current notices screen are the checkboxes. This behaves similar to the checkboxes on the reports pages. If you click the checkbox at the very top, it basically puts check marks in all of the current notices. Okay. If you accidentally do that, just simply click again, it will uncheck it, or you can individually check notices. The next column over is the client name, last name, and then first name. The client ID, the last 4 digits, the screening date, county. If you're unsure what this county number is, from the drop down you can get a quick reference. County number 81 is Washtenaw County. Okay. Current service. This is the current service in which the waiver agent basically is asking you to take care of or handle. The next column over is the action detail. Basically this would be a new assessment notice. The 4th one down is new service schedule notice. The effective date is when this needs to go into effect. The email date is actually the reminder email that is sent to vendor view users if they've designated that they want to be the one notified of current notices. This email date will be on the current notice page only, not on the archive notices. Care manager, these are the care manager's initials. The notice create date is actually the date in which the notice was created. In other words, when the waiver agency made an addition or an edit or change to their software system called MISIS, it automatically triggers a notice into vendor view. Let's review some of the actions that actually create a notice. Keep in mind that notices are automatically created and posted here in vendor view every time that the waiver agent makes any changes to the service plan or the client in which you're providing services for. Okay. For instance, the very first one, Batman, there was a new assessment created. Okay, so this is a new assessment current notice. The next one down, a new service schedule for personal care. The date range for October 1st, 2007 until September 30th, 2008. The next one down is actually there's been a change in the task for homemaker services. The next one also, a scheduled exception is when the amount or the units have changed other than what was originally planned. The next one for Superman, it looks like a brand new service schedule for homemaker service, June to October. Another new service. The times for Pillsbury Doughboy, the times have changed from November 12th, 2007 to December 31st, 2007. this one right here, the actual service has been deleted in the MISIS software, so most of the time that has been a stop or removed. Maybe there was a mistake in what they entered, and they're letting you know that no, that was incorrect, you're not to provide that service. The next one is a new or changed care setting. Sometimes this can mean that the client went into the hospital. All these are different types of notices. Let's review some more functionality on the notices page. Let's go ahead and search by client ID. I'm going to choose 4654. I'm going to click on the Go button. And here are all the notices for my client with the last four digits 4654, which is Pillsbury Doughboy. Okay. The display all will return all of the notices back to the way it was before I narrowed it down to my search criteria. Now I'm going to search by last name, click the Go button, and now I have all clients that end with the last name Man. So that is how you use the search criteria in VendorView. Let's go ahead and review the functions of these three buttons because it's very important that you understand these right here. If I were to click the very first checkbox, so in other words I want to just take care of this notice for Batman, and I'm going to say generate report, just like the client reports and service reports, I'm automatically taken to the report download page. And basically what I'm telling VendorView to do is just generate the report. I don't really want you to archive the notice just yet. I just want the report. And what it's doing is processing right now, and I will get an assessment report because Batman actually was an assessment notice. So it knows enough to generate the appropriate report for the type of notice that it is. Notice my checkbox still remains. And if I were to click the next button in, which is Review Archive, basically what it's going to do is anything I have checked along here, it's going to archive those. So it's going to take you directly, it's going to take it and put it on the Archive Notices page. This is what you need to do to let the waiver agency know that yes, I'm aware of this notice and I'm taking care of it. Otherwise they think that you're not aware of it, and they may be giving you a call or email you to make sure that you're aware that there's things that they need, notices that you need to take care of. Also, if you are not reviewing your notices and taking care of them, this is what this email date is about. Twice a day VendorView polls for unreviewed, unarchived notices and messages, and it will send an email at 11:30 and at 3:30. Of course, you can come into VendorView whenever you want and handle these, and then you would not be getting those reminder emails. Let's go ahead and review and archive the very first notice. And note it's gone. I was going to say, and notice that it's gone. It is. What happened was it was put in the Archive Notices page. So let's go ahead and go to that real quick so that we can see that, yes, there it is. Same information until we get over to the far right hand side, and now we have a reviewed by and a reviewed date. Reviewed by is me because I logged in as vendor, and today's date. So this is a way to also know who actually took a look at the notice and basically said that they would handle. Let's go back to the current notices page. Okay. Now let's review the generate report /review/archive button. What this will do is do both of these combined in one. Okay, so if you are a VendorView user and you prefer to generate reports and review and archive all at once, you can do that. Not all vendors want to actually generate reports. They know that this is a new assessment report and they really don't have any need maybe to look at this one in particular. Every vendor is different. Let's go ahead and take Catwoman and generate the report, review it, and archive it. And this is for a new service schedule. Okay, I'm automatically taken to the report download page because it's now generating a service authorization report. Again, VendorView is intelligent enough to know which type of report it needs to run for the different types of notices. Our assessment report that we ran earlier is done, and this is a service authorization report. Later on, we'll review the different types of reports. Let's go back to notices. And as you can see, the notice that we just generated the report, review, and archived is no longer there. Again, it's been put in the Archive Notices page. The notice that we just reviewed, archived, and generated the report, Catwoman, is along here. Okay, let's just quickly review these buttons again because it is very important you understand how these function. The very first button will simply generate the report and take you to the report's download page. At that point, you can open up the report and print that. The next button in Reviewed/Archive simply archives the notice off from the Current Notices page and puts it on an Archive Notices page. It does not generate the report for you. The third button in does both of these combined. It will generate the report, in other words, process the report and take you to the report download page, and also archive it to the Archive Notices page. The Current Notices page, if you have a client that has two notices for the same service, but maybe a couple different changes have been made in the waiver agent's software called MySys, VendorView is smart enough to only generate one report, even though there's two notices. So let me show you how that works. I'm going to check the two checkboxes for Pillsbury Doughboy. It happens to be for the service RN 15-minute T1000, and there's a couple different things that have changed. So I'm just going to generate the report for those two notices. And as you can see, it's actually processing one report. Even though I checked two notices, it is for the same exact client and the same service, just a couple different items have changed. Let's review that report. I'm going to open up the report. And it's the weekly service authorization report. Notice it is for the T1000 RN 15-minute. Here's the weekly service pattern. There is a care plan note on here. What I want to point out is that on the service authorization reports, when you run them from the notices page, it actually will give you the notice detail. Okay? These are actually the two notices in which I put checkboxes by. There was a task had changed and the times had changed. So there's a little more detail that you get when running the service authorization report from the notices screen. Let's review generating reports, archiving notices, and take a look at the different types of notice reports. Earlier we archived and generated a new assessment, and then also there was a service authorization report. Let's go ahead and just check a couple other ones real quick. Okay, I have a few checkboxes. And what I'm going to do is say generate reports, review, and archive, because the main goal on current notices really is to get them off from this current notices page. That's the way that the waiver agent knows that you're aware of this information. We don't recommend simply archiving them if you can't handle them or if you have not reviewed them, because that is not what we really want either. We want you to take a look at them and let the waiver agent know that you're handling it by archiving the notice. Okay, but this time we're going to generate the reports. So we can open up some of these reports and take a look at them, because some of the notice reports are different, for example, than the service reports. If a service report is actually generated from the notice page, in other words, a service authorization, the costs and units are included automatically on the report. If you were to run a service authorization report from the service reports tab, you have the option to not include the cost and the units. Okay, notice all of our reports are done, and again, if I were to go back to the notices page, those notices are now archived also because we chose the third button in. Earlier we ran an assessment notice, and again, this is simply the assessment report, the same assessment report that can be generated at any point in time from the Client's Reports tab. This is the Client's Reports tab, and there's an assessment report in there you can choose. Service authorization for Batman. This is actually the service authorization for the service homemaker. Notice here that we have an alert. We put this in a bigger font so that you'll see this. Participant at risk for this service. In other words, it's very important that this client receive this service on these days, basically. This is, you're the vendor, the service, the waiver agent purchase fund source, that's for them, their care plan line number in their MySys system. And then we have the start and stop dates, which you would have seen some of this information in the actual on the current notice screen, but you would not have seen the actual weekly service pattern. For example, they need 4 units on Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a total of 12 units, and here's the cost. The task associated with this homemaker service would be meal preparation, medications, laundry, and housework. If there's any notes that the care manager would have entered that they want you to see, they would put that in here also. A schedule exception notices there has been a change in the care plan in what was originally planned to provide. Looks like the units were zeroed out. I may have generated this one. No, this is actually a different one, excuse me. It's another weekly service authorization, different client, different dates, start and stop dates. Notice there's some care plan notes here that you'll want to read and review. Okay, 4 units on Saturday. Let's go back to the current notices page. And the ones that we told to generate, and they are now in our archived notices page.